November 12th, 2024. Well, a lot of things are going on that will kind of fall into the line of discussion I had in my previous video about the foreign policy challenges that the incoming Trump administration will face. Um, Latest news I'm hearing is that the new Israeli Defense Minister Katz is actually is making a big push in the cabinet there to um, uh, launch an attack against the Iranian nuclear facilities. As we recall, previously the Biden administration was opposed to this, but Trump had indicated he was somewhat favorable to it. Of course, this comes as we're awaiting the Iranian response to the previous Israeli attack, which allegedly, or it's claimed to have destroyed the most of the Iranian air defense capabilities, the S-300s that they bought from Russia sometimes back. Supposedly, these systems have been destroyed along with some other targets. Now, of course, there are certain sources that try to dispute this, but it seems that the consensus seems to favor this, and therefore, seeing this success, they're thinking of going ahead and pressing their attack against the Iranian nuclear program. Remembering that there is some possibility that Iran has conducted nuclear tests in the last few weeks, although that's, of course, unconfirmed. So, the tensions seem to be on the escalatory phase, to say the least. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has made a statement that Israel should not attack Iran, and the United States has been moving a large amount of different forces. At least 6 B-52 bombers, tankers have been flying around. F-15E aircraft as well as F-16s have been moved into the area. So, and I believe previously there were some F-22. So in other words, there's a significant concentration of U.S. air power going into the area as well. So the situation seems to be fairly tense, with the possibility either side might attack at any moment. The U.S. has actually struck at, I think it was 9 Iranian strikes and Iranian positions in Syria in retaliation for Iranian attacks on U.S. positions. So it kind of gives you a lay of the land here and what might be happening. On the Israeli thing, I mean, if the air defenses are truly down, I mean, to really destroy some of these underground facilities, I think you're going to would need something on the order of probably the 5,000-pound penetrator bombs at a minimum, which would have to be carried by the F-15I aircraft that Israel has, which is their derivative of the F-15E that we have, and it can carry one of those on the center pylon, and with the external fuel tanks and so forth, they should be able to reach that far, I guess. But of course, if active air defenses are in place that could engage fourth generation aircraft, they could take losses trying to do this. It's also a little bit unclear how successful such an attack would be or how complete it would be. But if Israel sees that Iran is actually in the process of breaking out and actually building a nuclear stockpile, then you could see why they would want to go at this time before it gets any further developed, of course. So anyway, that's the situation. And there's also Iranian some kind of a launch into space, and seemingly implying that they might have some kind of an EMP weapon. I think what they literally said is they could blind Israel's eyes or something like that. I guess referring to their satellites, maybe, or maybe their radar systems. And if we're talking about EMP weapons, this would tend to indicate a nuclear device of some sort. So, and I mean, if Iran has actually launched a nuclear device into space, that would be a major provocation, needless to say. So anyway, that's one of the little things that are brewing here at the present time, and may come to fruition even before Trump's inaugurated. But if you like these videos, please give me a like. Looking for more subscriptions, please subscribe. And you can click the bell for notifications if you're subscribing. Or if you're on Rumble instead, you can find me there too under the address. Information is in the description below. So yeah, that's kind of one of the major developments. Another development on the Ukraine front is that after a discussion that apparently is confirmed that Trump and Elon Musk had with Zelensky, outlining their idea of a peace plan. the Washington Post, I believe, was that declared that Trump had made a phone call to Putin, and it made some discussion along the lines of this too, and presumably made some comment to the effect that Putin should not launch any major offensives, and that and noting that we have substantial military forces in Europe. Um, that seemed to be accepted, and then Peskov, who's a Kremlin spokesman, then denied that the actual conversation ever occurred, that there had even been a phone call from Trump to Putin. So at this point, I'm not sure which source is correct. Kind of interesting, huh? Either he did make a call or he didn't make a call. Or perhaps this is Russia's way of rebutting what was said in the call, by simply denying the call even occurred, even though it did. Or, well, anyway, so that's something to look forward to seeing for some clarification on what really happened or didn't happen. The other thing is sort of, one source said that the Russians are now playing some old pictures of Melania Trump that were taken, I guess, in her more risque modeling days before she became a first lady, or probably even a wife of President Trump. At any rate, they're trying to make her out to seem to be kind of a wanton lady or something, which is supposedly, I guess, designed to insult Trump. So at any rate, so this situation isn't that good either. Also, the Russians apparently have concentrated something like 50,000 troops. Allegedly, Putin has given them the mission of pushing the Ukrainians out of Kursk region by Trump's inauguration day. So perhaps seeing that they have that much time to raise merry hell, huh? And then after that, perhaps they need to rein it in. Well, at any rate, that's claimed. However, the initial Russian attack, which went on for a few days, starting on November the 7th through about the 10th, apparently met with some misfortune. Although it's unclear whether that was the primary attack or not, but it wasn't trivial, and apparently some vehicles were destroyed, and apparently the attack was repulsed. Because apparently at this time the Ukrainians have concentrated some of their best units in the Kursk region. On the other hand, in other parts of the front, the Russians are pretty much on the offensive in most places, as I mentioned before. So this is an interesting development. One would tend to think that maybe the best Russian units are not in the Kursk region, that the best units are actually in eastern Ukraine. At any rate, so that gives you an idea of how that is panning out. So you've got that crisis, and then of course we still have other issues that will be pending. Apparently, Trump is moving forward to consolidate some of his key cabinet appointments. Michael Waltz apparently has been picked to be the national security advisor, and Elaine Stefanik has been picked to be the ambassador of the UN. And I'm not sure this is confirmed or not, but I believe that Marco Rubio is going to be picked to be Secretary of State. Although one source, as of this recording, probably by the time most of you see it, you'll know that whether it's true or not. But that's the way the rumor mill is going right now. And of course, that seems to me to be a little. I like Rubio in general, but I have one big problem. That'll take him off the UFO beat, and we may not get to the answer to what's going on with all those whistleblowers that have been making all sorts of interesting claims to the Senate Intelligence Committee. So anyway, I don't know who will take his place, but that is an interesting question if that occurs. Well, at any rate, that's kind of a snapshot of the problems that, like I say, the other thing is Trump is sort of demanding that Israel wrap up the operation in Gaza by the time he takes office, too. However, Israel still has an ongoing operation in Lebanon, of course, as you know. So anyway, the world situation isn't exactly gone passive yet. So at any rate, I'll go on to another topic now, and that is the upcoming hearing on Wednesday, the November the 13th, on the UAP issue. Um, uh, Representative Nancy Mace, I guess, will be chairing this meeting, and apparently the four guests that have been announced are Dr. Gallant, I guess it's pronounced, is Admiral Tim Gallant, I guess you pronounce it. It was a retired admiral who had several positions involving oceanic research, and apparently he had received an email of one of the videos that was released and to the TTSA, the famous one of the famous three videos. I think it was the Go Fast video. And apparently with a question, because he was handling oceanographic issues, what are these things? And apparently that's what got him interested in it. And he apparently knows some things about that, and also underwater contacts by submarines. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. Apparently he was never actually cleared for the program, so he apparently has some freedom to speak that other people don't. Apparently the video was then removed a day later by some security element. So that indicates that apparently this was considered a sensitive matter by somebody. And then of course Lou Elizondo will be there, and then there's Michael Gold, who apparently had a background, as I understand it, in the NIDS thing, working with Bigelow, which would be at the beginning of the probably pre-OSOP period. If you know about the UFO stuff, you'll know what I'm talking about. That would be in the very early 2000s, working, I guess, on things like Skinwalker Ranch and other issues. And apparently he was also on a panel that NASA established that made a report. And then finally, Michael Schellenberger, who's a journalist and reporter, who apparently previously had reported that the U.S. had something like 12 recovered UAP type vehicles, and also recently has broken a story about a whistleblower about a top secret program known as Immaculate Constellation, which covers a lot of data in the UAP issue. Apparently this project was started sometime around 2017, which is about the time that Lou Elizondo left the Pentagon. So it seems like this kind of happened in parallel. Perhaps they didn't want to deal with him, they wanted their own program or something. And I'm not sure to what degree this actually is related to what I generally refer to as the program, or people refer to as the legacy program, which is interesting. So anyway, that should be interesting Wednesday to see what they come up with. Obviously, I don't think they're going to break the whole story, but maybe they'll come up with something new, and that'll be interesting to looking forward to. So at any rate, I guess, and then also George Knapp has a 6-part documentary series on Netflix called Investigation Alien, which people might be interested in. I think it would be a fairly good primer for those that are not as aware of this subject as I am. If you want to kind of come up to speed with some of the things we're talking about, that would be useful. To me, it was kind of like, yes, all right, but I've been there, seen all this before in a different form, So some of it is very similar, let's put it that way. So anyway, so I'll be wrapping this up for now, and we'll, of course, be posting this on YouTube and Rumble as always, and the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below, so all for this time.